a mini episode of Unspoken Truth. I'm your host, Denise. What's up, man? For those who are new, welcome. If you've been rocking with me for a minute, what's up, man? We here. So I started doing Tuesday episodes so I can kind of build my audience up on other platforms outside of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So I can start creating a community on places like Tag and YouTube. So this is going to be officially my first live on YouTube. So woo for that. Okay. Today's topic is parents and kids that don't like each other. Oh boy. This topic gonna be rough. Hopefully some people chime in with some constructive things to add to the conversation. But I am a daughter. I am a mother. I am now a grandmother. So I have a lot of titles currently. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there why I felt the need to kind of touch on this subject and kind of have a conversation. Um, Parents and kids that don't like each other. I guess I want to start with what I believe or how I see that playing out, how we got to this point where that's a lot of people's reality. Not everybody's, but a lot of people is struggling in the area of parenting and being a parent and also being a child and trying to just make the best decisions that you can with what you have. Okay. I am a person who created this platform because I needed a place to vent. I too was one of those kids that had a grudge with my parents, had some resentment built up, um, some pain, some hurt. A lot of things didn't make sense to me, so a lot of anger. You know, I'm a firm believer that anger is just a way to show you the pain. And so that is a way that the body, um, your emotions show up as anger. Okay. So I spent a lot of time being angry with my parents when I was coming up, um, for a combination of reasons. I can't really say that it was one thing or the other. It was a combination of things. From my perspective, not understanding why they couldn't get along, not understanding why they was always into it, and they just, it never felt like a calm, peaceful environment. Okay. This is my experience, although I've been told no, things weren't like that. A lot of parents tend to mask the truth or lack accountability for the truth. Okay. Um, I'm one of them people, even if it hurt, the truth got to be told, got to be said. Somebody got to do it. Okay. Um, Accountability. I had kids of my own. So now we fast forward and I've stored all of this anger and frustration and disappointment with my parents, and now I'm a parent. And I never dealt with those emotions. I still was walking around with those same feelings and thoughts and anger, if you will. Even as a parent myself, even as an adult, I still was angry because I didn't have no answers for none of the questions I had, or I didn't have an explanation for the feelings I was feeling. It was a lot going on, okay, with me inside. Although I showed up every day, nobody would have thought that that was something that I was struggling or dealing with unless they knew me personally, okay. Um, Within that, I think that it caused me to not be the best parent that I could have been, because now where I'm at today, I can have accountability for the things that I was lacking back then. Okay. With that being said, me really not knowing how to be a mother. Okay. I was 20 years old when I had my first child. So I didn't really know how to be a mother. So I think that that was something that was a disadvantage to my kids because I didn't know how to be a mother. I was still a kid, if you will. At 20, I know. Because at 17, I thought I was grown. Okay. But at 20, a lot of us have this feeling where I'm grown. Can't nobody tell me what to do and how to do it. That was my attitude as well. Okay. With some of my choices, some of my decisions, landed me to be a mother of three. By the time I was 23 years old, I had three kids. That's a lot to even say. Okay. Now, because I had all of this resentment and anger stored up with my parents, I never did nothing with those feelings. So, what I believe happened and occurred with my parenting is I started to not show up for my kids. I started to not be present like I should have been because I was still dealing with my own childhood trauma, which caused me to not be able to show up the way I should have been showing up for my kids. And I'm not saying like clothing them, feeding them, things of that nature. I'm saying being present. I want to make this clear that a lot of kids feel like their parents are not present. What I mean by that is not spending or putting in the time. I too felt like that about my parents. They both were high school graduates and college graduates and had careers. So it wasn't like they wasn't being present because they didn't have nothing else going on. They was working. And I understand that because once I became a parent, I had the decision of am I going to chase my career or am I going to be present for my kids? Now, me, I'm one of them people, I don't like to dictate or tell nobody how to be a parent because what works for me may not work for you and vice versa. Okay, I chose to be a stay at home mom. Some people would be like, well, that's ridiculous. That's you just being lazy and not want to. But here's where I beg to differ that with you because I didn't want to be one of those parents or want my kids to be one of those kids like I was who, yes, I appreciated my parents for going out and getting it, providing a household for me, food on the table, clothes on my back, although I would have rather had that one-on-one nurturing and time over a lot of things. I'm not saying that I went without because I was very well taken care of growing up. So was my children. But I'm saying that to say that your kids just be wanting your presence. They not counting the stuff that you buy, the money you spent, the stores you done been to find the things that they asking for or earned by doing good in school or whatever system y'all on. They not counting that, but they definitely keeping track of the time on whether or not you there. If they can look around in the room, let's say for example they have an event going on. Maybe they in a play, or they in the choir, or they play sports, or they got something going on in the school or in their community. They want to be able to look out in the crowd and see you. They don't want you to keep telling them, "Oh well, I had to work, baby." And I get it. I'm not taking nothing away from the parents. That's the route that they took. I just chose a different route. Okay, let me be clear, because I don't want nobody feeling like I'm coming for them. Okay, I just chose a different route. I chose to be present at home with my kids from I would say whew, first grade, first grade till I didn't really start back working until they was in maybe middle school. But nevertheless, I was a single parent. I was raising three kids by myself, so eventually I was going to have to go to work. Okay, I did that. I created a commercial cleaning business and I went to work. The thing about that I think kind of stopped me in my tracks was I was barely seeing my kids. Now I done went from being hands on with them every day, all day, to now I'm barely seeing them because I'm working such rigorous hours. And I work the evenings because let's be clear, with a cleaning business, you can't clean while the establishment is up and functioning. So I can only clean your establishment after everybody leaves. So I would work evenings. I wouldn't get home to the wee hours of the morning. Sometimes if my schedule was crammed and I had a lot of accounts for that particular day, I wouldn't get home till right before my kids was ready to get up and go to school. And that bothered me, especially knowing that I was the only present parent. That bothered me. I wasn't okay with that. It wasn't like something that I enjoyed, okay? But I also understood why I was doing it. So now back to how we get to parents not liking their kids and kids not liking their parents. Um, I developed resentment and a grudge towards my parents for me feeling like I couldn't depend on them to be present. Okay. Now this is my inner child speaking right now. This is not me as an adult. Okay. This is how my mind was playing when I was a child. I was angry. I wanted to know why so much time was invested in these jobs and these careers and not at home with me. Okay. I think if my parents would have took the time to sit down and explain, maybe I wouldn't have had such feelings. Okay. This is just me saying what I think would have helped me have a better understanding and appreciation for what they was doing. Their why for why they was doing what they was doing. Okay. Again, I did not deal with those issues, nor do I feel like my parents explained that to me. So now I'm a parent, and I'm not. I feel like I showed up for my kids, but they may beg to differ. They may disagree with me saying that. They may say like, "No, mine. It was times where we was banking on you and you wasn't there." Because I'm only a one person. I'm only a person. I can only be in one place at one time. I'm not an octopus. I don't have a million arms. Although your kids feel like you do. They feel like you some extraterrestrial superhero that knows all and can do all. Okay? I too thought that about my parents. I believe that my kids feel that way about me. Um, but what happens is because I'm a child and I really don't know how to navigate these feelings and these emotions I'm having towards my parents, then it shows up in me misbehaving. It shows up with me being rebellious. It shows up with me being disobedient. It shows up with me lacking respect. Okay, these are just things that I can say, that I can list, that starts happening. And I know that my parents experienced that with me. I started acting out. Because in a child's mind, they feel like if I act out and I get my parents' attention, then maybe they'll hear me out. Maybe they'll try to understand. Maybe they'll ask me some questions. Maybe they'll want to know why. Because I'm a child. I do not think on the same frequency and mindset as an adult. Okay. Um, I started misbehaving. Although I was a straight A student in school, I didn't have problems in the academics. I was frustrated and angry with my parents, so I started acting up. I'll never forget the first thing that I attempted at was not going home from school one day. Or better yet, I got another one even before that. I called myself cutting school, and I was probably in like maybe the sixth grade. No more than the seventh grade, but I called myself cutting school. And I was the type of child that did exactly as my parents instructed me to do. I didn't try to test them, but this particular day, something had got inside of me. I was like, I don't care. I don't care if they get mad. I don't care if they whoop me. I don't care if I be on punishment. You know, when you're a child, you try. You try your parents. You do. And I was a child and I was testing my boundaries with my parents. And I had cut school. And the school notified my parents that I wasn't there. You know, I hadn't showed up for none of my classes. Was they aware? Was there something going on and somebody just forgot to call the school, you know? And I will never forget my father showed up to my mother's house with the guidance counselor. And it was me and a group of my friends. We in there chilling, smoking. Ooh, we was doing stuff we ain't had no business. Okay. Um, playing spin the bottle. We was doing stuff we had no business. And there was a knock at the door. And I couldn't refuse what I was hearing. I knew it was my father, and I knew why he was there because I was at my mother's house and not at school. And at that point, you know, I had made it up in my mind. I don't care what the consequences and repercussions is. I'm doing what I want to do. Let me be clear. When you a child and you have that type of mindset, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Understand that sometimes you put yourself in situations you have no idea what the consequences really are for real. Why? Because your parents be trying adamantly to shield you and stop you from experiencing certain things because they know what's on the end of what you're doing. Perhaps they've done it themselves. I just want to challenge you to understand that that's why the parent be all over you. That's why the parent be reprimanding you. That's why the parent be disciplining you because they be trying to avoid you experiencing perhaps something that they went through. And they don't want you to feel how it felt when they experienced that. But a lot of us are hard headed. No one can teach us or tell us nothing. We bent on figuring stuff out for ourselves. I was one of those kids too. But I chose a different approach, I think, with my own raising of my kids. I decided that I was going to stop telling them not to do things. Because when my parents was telling me not to do things, I still was doing them. It made me want to do it. It didn't make me stop and be like, okay, well, they said don't do it, so I ain't going to do it. When you a child, your mindset can only stretch so far. You only have a certain capacity of thinking. And what I mean by that is so far ahead. Okay? When you are a child. I didn't know. I didn't know that the things that I was doing was putting me in danger. I didn't know that the things that I was doing was causing my parents strife or stress or heartache. You know, I didn't know because I was a child. I believe that every child feel like that. I don't know how I'm feeling is making my parents feel. I don't know what kind of disruptions I'm causing in my parents' everyday life and their capabilities of parenting me. I don't know none of this because I am a child. But when you get to be an adult and you start having kids of your own, you start to see certain things repeat themselves. I started to see things that I had done with to my parents be done to me now that I was a mother. And it dawned on me one day, I was like, I wonder if all the anger and the frustration and all the disobedience and the lack of respect that I showed my parents when I was a kid, if that's why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. Because I was an 80s baby. I was raised, hey, you get what you give tenfold once you start creating a family of your own. Some people may agree with that, some people may disagree with that. I would say I agree with that because I started to experience things that I I didn't know that I would. Because I was one of them parents like, I can't wait till y'all grow up and y'all get grown. You fast forward today, they grown. One of them has a family of their own. And I can't help but to sit back and think as I'm sitting here speaking, like, wow, I got what I gave out tenfold. I don't believe that my kids took me through as much as I took my parents through, but I had to assume some kind of responsibility and accountability for the things that they did take me through. Um, I think was to teach me that I needed to have grace and I needed to have mercy and I needed to leave space within my life for to give my parents a chance because I had got told in the past you waiting on apologies and conversations that ain't gonna never happen. And currently, right now, as I sit here, I've had a really very heart to heart conversation with my father last year, as a matter of fact, on this platform that allowed me to free up a lot of space, a lot of resentment, a lot of grudge, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt I had with him because I had left the space to hear him out, even if it wasn't what I wanted to hear, even if it didn't play out how I wanted it to. It happened. And I'm forever grateful for that opportunity because it was something that I had longed for a long time as his daughter. Um, what I would want to say to my inner child first, because I think this is important before I speak to the kids. What I want to say to my inner child is it was always a different way I could have went about it. I most definitely didn't have to go about it the way I chose to go about it. Um, I I assume lack of maturity. Um, I assume lack of the ability to be able to say to my parents, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. Hey, this is what I'm going through. Hey, I can I just get your attention for a minute? Hey, could can you hear me out?" That perhaps I would have saved myself a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of struggle. Um, but again, I accept my life, all of it, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the ugly, um, to the kids, my children, but more importantly, the kids that look up to me, the kids that I play a mother figure to, the kids that value what I have to say, but maybe haven't mustered up the courage to say it yet. Be mindful that a lot of us lacked certain things too. Information, perhaps affection, um, perhaps courage, um, strength to do things the way other people see or thought we should. Um, but I stand on the things that I have done um, to provide, to protect, to now. be a place where I can hear my kids and they feel comfortable voicing how they feel, um, past and present, things that I've said and done. Um, I love y'all, and I too fall short, but know that my intentions was good. My heart was in the right place, even if things didn't go the way that I planned. Know that everything was with good intention and that I was giving all of what I had, even if there was some things missing. Yeah, even if I lacked in certain areas, I could only parent you to the magnitude of what I had and who I was, but more importantly, who I'm becoming. And that's due to y'all. Um, the things that y'all have shown me, the goals and accomplishments y'all have reached and obtained, um, the unconditional love that y'all continue to show me. Um, it does not go unnoticed. I appreciate you. I'm grateful and thankful to be your mom. Um, have patience with me too. Have grace with me as well. Continue to love on me just the same, and know that sometimes I made decisions knowing that you would be angry, but I would rather you be angry with me temporarily than be angry with me for life. And that may not make sense today, right now. It may not make sense for a while, but understand that that was what I was doing. I wasn't trying to intentionally hurt you. Um, it wasn't in my plans to fail y'all, but in this life, it's going to happen. I'm going to fail. And my job is to not focus on how many times that I do fall, but how many times I get up. The same thing that I tell y'all today. You will fail. It's a part of life. Don't get too hung up on that. Don't hold and carry a grudge for too long. Love on your parents because they they have a shorter existence left here than you do. Parents, love on your kids. A lot of us have had to bury some of our children, and that's clearly not the way that this life is supposed to go. So I challenge you to have that hard conversation. Sit down with each other. Create a space where everybody can be heard, respected, loved, and valued, so that that feeling of resentment and grudge and anger won't exist. I challenge y'all to do that for yourself, to do it for your kids, to do it for your parents. It'll make the family dynamic just that much easier because everybody is under pressure and everybody is going through something. And it may not always be good all the time because life is life. And at times it be life, and it's okay. It's okay. Because in order to really have true wisdom in this world and in your life, you got to go through some things. You got to live. You got to experience. You got to overcome. Um, I will forever say that parenting is one of the most challenging jobs in the world, but very rewarding in the end when you get to see what you help create and the things that you've taken the time to instill and pour and give to them and watch them apply that to their everyday life and grow. It's a beautiful thing, man. Parents, don't be so hard on yourself. We don't have all the answers. We don't know everything. We try to solve everything. We try to fix everything. But there's going to come a time in your parenting when you're going to be unable to fix things, unable to control it, unable to uh, deal. But I challenge you to just keep showing up, keep getting up, keep going. Don't stop. It do start getting easier with time. Um, Last but not least, like hey, all of us need to have grace with ourselves first, but then with each other. Because guess what? It's the first time, perhaps, we've been a kid to someone. This is the first time we've been a parent to someone. This is the first time we've been a grandparent or auntie or uncle or sibling to someone. So we will make mistakes. And unfortunately, we will hurt or agitate or irritate each other along the way. And even that's normal and okay. But it's more important about what we do with when we encounter those situations and circumstances. Do we just act like they don't exist? Do we do something about them? Do we sit down and have a conversation? Do we avoid the issue? Because I think that's the most important thing about this whole conversation. Um, that's it. That's all I got for y'all today, man. I hope whoever needed to get whatever they needed to get from today's conversation that they got just that. Um, Join me here Friday, 8 p.m. for a new episode of Unspoken Truth. I love y'all, man. I appreciate every like, every comment, every share. For those of you that's new here, I appreciate y'all. Welcome. Stay tuned, man. It's a lot more of me to come. I'm on a mission for us to continue to have hard, transparent, vulnerable conversations that allow us to get it all out. Because I believe that there is not a thing we can do about a single issue that exists in our life until we discuss it first. So, again, this has been a mini episode of Unspoken Truth. I am your host, Tanise. I will see you guys again on Friday at 8 p.m. Be careful for those of you that's on your break. Get back to work. And I will see you guys soon. I love y'all. Be careful out here. Until then, peace. Mm.